Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is about the concept of Black love. Okay, do I believe it's real? I believe it is real if it is a real, genuine relationship between two people that really care about one another and they work with each other um, as a unit and as couples. And yes, I believe it can work. That depends on the two individuals that are you know, engaged in a relationship and they want it to work. Um, so I won't say anything negative about on the individuals. So he has some funny pictures, serious pictures. But anyway, um, do I think it could fail? Yes, there are things that could happen in the course of relationships, and that's not all relationships. I believe that if people really want relationships to work and they're working at it, relationships, no matter what types of relationships, they aren't always easy. And so a lot of times you will have to work at sustaining positive and healthy relationships, even if it's a friendship or if it's someone that you're desiring to have a long-term relationship with. Now, what I dislike is when people promote this concept with people who are in unhealthy relationships that aren't working. And there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of abuse involved, and there's not very much commitment involved in those relationships. And when those relationships are very toxic and they're trying to promote something like this, it isn't love at all. It isn't any kind of love. So I don't agree with people who promote this concept and they call it Black love when people are, abusing one another and hurting each other physically, emotionally, and mentally, and they're not meant to be together. And when, the relationship is toxic and there's a lot of abuse going on where people are not honest with one another and there's a lot of infidelity, cheating, a lot of things that are happening in relationships. Now, this doesn't have to be couples, it could be friendships as well. I would include also friendships, people who maybe they've been a long time confidant or friend and or friend of the family. Love is in not just within couples relationships, but also in your everyday relationships with people who you share some commonality with. And so if you can't respect one another's space, however that may be, it is not loving, it isn't caring, it isn't friendship, it's toxic. And so depending on what's involved in all of that, if it is people that are abusing each other, calling each other out of their names, they're doing physical harm or they're threatening one another, those relationships, I wouldn't consider them to be Black love. And where am I getting at with this? I hear this term touted so much online, and I see a lot of young people who talk about getting in these relationships and they promote this concept and they know nothing of the sort of it because they have not really experienced those real, true relationships. They're finding themselves, they haven't even found who they are. So if they don't even really like themselves, then how do they expect someone else to want to engage in a relationship with them? And so there are a lot of hateful things that are going on online, people that can't get along with one another, people that are arguing over, you know, silly stuff. People will listen to your what you have to say, and they're angry because you said something they didn't agree with. And like I said in many of my videos, I believe even in the past, I'm not perfect, and I admit to that. I own up to that. I'm human. I know that I'm full of flaws and I make mistakes. And you're always growing. Every time that a day passes and you're around, you learn new things. Hopefully, people learn new things. Sometimes it takes time for people to evolve and to grow, and it comes with time. And even with time, you're still evolving and growing. And a lot of the things, I've said this as well, a lot of the things that, I did in my 20s, I'm not doing in my 30s. A lot of the things that I did in my 30s, I'm not doing in my 40s. A lot of the things that I surely know that once I get into my 50s, I won't be doing the things that I was doing in my 40s and my 50s. And so on and so forth. And you live and you do learn that as time goes by, you begin to grow, you begin to wisen up. Some still don't learn, it takes more time, or they hit a point in their life where they don't want to learn because they've given up. They get to a point where they've given up on themselves. And sometimes it takes people hitting rock bottom, like really, really having great losses or learning huge lessons before they really realize years are passing you by, time's passing you by, and whatever you have done that wasn't right, you have to figure out how you're going to change what's within you and make it right. And it all depends on that individual, and you have to hold yourself accountable. It's not just males, it's females too. But males, really, you need to hold yourself accountable. I don't find that really happening a lot of times until people start reaching their 40s. And then when they start reaching their 50s, a lot of times, sometimes it'll hit people and it'll either be too late or it'll hit them in the right time where they realize, wow, I really made a lot of dumb mistakes and I need to change, or I should have changed. And when you get in your 40s, you're thinking back to when you were 20 and 30, and you start thinking about all the things you wish you had have not done, all the encounters that you think about, that you regret, that you learned from it, or you wish there was another way you had have learned sooner. And so a lot of these people that are online that are arguing back and forth with each other, you're wasting a lot of precious time. You're wasting your time arguing with each other over issues that really are not bringing any love to you and to the people around you. And I know a lot of people they want to be smart. They want to be recognized. They want to be popular. Some people want to make change and they're trying to find ways to do it. Some people are lost and they're trying to find ways to discover themselves, discover who they are. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of grief, a lot of anger, and it comes out in a lot of different forms. And I like to say with women, a lot of times women are searching sometimes they're searching for love in wrong people. And those people, they don't know themselves. They haven't matured. And, it's like the blind leading the blind. And if that person has not woken up and saw all of their mistakes and all of the things that they need to change within themselves, you can't change them. And a lot of times, that's where I really feel that religion can be very confusing, because I find that a lot of people really hit rock bottom and then it turns them around. Some people have to hit rock bottom before they realize that they were really selfish, or that they made really egotistical mistakes in their life, or that they really weren't the person they claimed they were, or they wronged a lot of people, or they wronged themselves. And so what my point is if you want Black love, you have to love yourself. There's a lot of Black people out there, or people of color, that don't love themselves. That's why there's so much fighting online. That's why there's so much divisiveness and people hurting one another. And you already know, when you have so many people that are against you because of skin color or because of culture or background, and who you claim to be, what continent, or your ideologies, your beliefs, your mindset, you have to love who you are. I hear people fighting over where they were born, what cultures they're from, who has the right to speak on what cultures, who should look like a particular way, or hair, skin color, hair texture. People fighting over why they wear their hair straight, why they prefer it straight, or why they prefer their hair not straight. Um, people fighting over who they should be in relationships with, why they don't want to be with this person or that person, why they choose this person over another. And it all seems to boil down to issues surrounding race, culture, values, home life. Some things people can't even really control. You were born with. And what I'm hearing is there's a lot of people who don't love themselves, or there's a lot of confusion and a lot of regretting, not knowing who they are, wanting to know who they are and where they come from, and being angry because they don't really know, and angry with other people because they've claimed certain cultures that don't sound like it fits within the spaces of Black people. And so there's a lot of fighting because people have a hard time loving themselves. And the way I see it, and I know some people will disagree, but I always look at it as I agree to disagree, because I know everybody doesn't see eye to eye. And I've learned that it took time for me to realize that everybody has different points of views. But when I say Black people, I'm inclusive of people who are from any part of the globe that share some similar commonality with me phenotypically, even if their culture is a slightly different or altogether different. Somebody else may be a little more militant, and for whatever that reason, I feel like what our issues are is we're reaching and we're searching for who we all are, and a lot of it isn't our fault. And so, for those reasons, there harbors a lot of frustration and confusion and anger as to who we are as people. And so, that is the reason why you get so much bickering online and on these sites. People trying to find themselves and identify with certain groups, certain religious groups, certain cliques, because they want to be a part of something or they want to create something huge that can be a part of something. And I say that you have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to accept who you are and accept yourself. And if you can't accept yourself, you can't even try to expect that someone else would accept you, because people will fail other people all the time. You, however, should look at yourself and evaluate yourself and say to yourself, I love me for being who I am. I'm imperfect and I'm human and I'm bound to make mistakes. But a lot of people don't have it in their heart to do that because they want perfection and they want to be perfect and they want to have friends. They want to have an identity. And if you've lost that identity within yourself and you find that you have to get in these groups to find your way, but you're still lost, you're not going to be fulfilled no matter what you do or what you claim to be a part of. There's always going to be some type of divide because everybody does not, you have to realize everybody does not agree all the time on the same opinions, the same ideas. Some people are born from different places. They are from different cultures. Some people do know how to speak different languages. Some people were moved around, and some of those things are really not in our control, weren't our fault. But to sit up and hurt each other and to talk about each other and to tear each other down is not Black love whatsoever. You think it is, it isn't. It's called Black hate when you tear one another down online, when you cuss each other out, belittle each other because of how you look, how you talk, or where you live, where you grew up, what parents you come from. You're not bringing unity to Black people when you do that. You're bringing more division, more social divide, and more hatred amongst within fighting in our own groups. So, in order to really capture Black love, it starts from within side of you as a person. And if you don't love yourself, we have women fighting over whose hair looks the best, whose eye color looks the best, whose skin looks the best. All that screams, we don't feel confident and we don't love our Black selves. If you can't love yourself for who you are, how your hair looks, how your eye color looks, how your skin is light or dark, how you speak, how you talk, what region of the planet you came from, You have to learn how to love those things because a lot of those things were not in our control. And if you can't learn to love those things about yourself, then there is no Black love for you as an individual. It starts with us as people. And that is what I think truly Black love really is. And so you wouldn't be having these talks. You wouldn't be having these men saying, I'm going to look for somebody who isn't Black. You wouldn't be having these women saying, well, my hair looks better than yours. Or, you know, women fighting over who's the best hairstyle, straight hair or kinky hair. I'm going back to the creamy crack, whatever they call it, relaxing the hair. People fighting over who should do what with what kind of clothes they wear and, you know, what region of the planet you came from. You know, some of these conversations all are just very, very childish, and if not most of them, I just see it as a lot of self-hate. And despite what people's platforms are and what they've been saying on these, you know, talks that they've been giving in these debates, these are coming from people you would think were relatively educated, but the conversations are like elementary school. It's like listening to kids in a classroom fighting over toys and books. That's mine. I had it first. No, I had it. You had it. You already had it a long time. Give it back. I see that. I've seen that. And I see adults doing the same thing. The only thing is, it's replaced with hair. Who we want to date, who we want to go out with, who you want to be a part of what group with. And it all spells we have problems within our own selves. And then we turn it around and blame others for it. So it starts with us as people, accepting ourselves. That's what Black love truly is. That's the way I see it. It's not about who's sleeping with who and having sex and rooting up on people and hanging out at nightclubs and none of that. It starts with loving yourself. And there's a lot of people who are in pain, a lot of anger, and a lot of people out there who don't love themselves. And in order to love themselves, they feel they have to be a part of these groups, these cliques, look a particular way to gain the attention and popularity of multitudes of people to validate who they are. Being famous doesn't mean that that person loves themselves on the inside. Maybe their fan base loves them, loves their talent, but you don't know what's going on behind the closed doors of that individual, how they feel about themselves. That's why we've seen some famous people take their own lives, and we've questioned, why did this person do? They were so talented, they were so charismatic, they had a lot of gifts and talents. Why would they? They had a lot of money. As we see, money doesn't bring you happiness, not always. We've seen this, and we've also seen that fame doesn't always bring you a lot of happiness. We see the fighting of famous people online. They can't get along and they're always having to prove their case. We see famous, popular people getting gunned down, and then we hear about it and we're wondering, wow, gone too soon. And then we're also seeing people fighting and bickering online who are popular on certain platforms, but they fight over things like nationality and race and, you know, the way people look. If that's Black love, that can't be. That's fake love. That ain't even love. So I just thought I would leave that video. I mean, I see a lot of people that, want to promote this whole concept about Black love, and they want people to get together. And, I don't think it's just just couples. I think it's friendships, pals. It's also relationships. And it's also how you treat one another as neighbors, how you treat other people from your own, you know, background. And then maybe if they're not from the same background or culture, they share some common traits with you, how you treat one another, and how do people treat one another online. We don't even want to mention that, do we? Because some people right now are not treating each other at all with any kind of Black love. Some people feel like you're not Black enough if you don't say the right things that they want to hear. So they've already denounced you from their group. We've got that going on. Oh, you only got one Black parent. You're not Black, as if that person had control over that. So some of those people that are saying that, they might not know who all their people are. They claim to, but with that's not the point here. What I'm saying is people are not showing a lot of love for themselves, and it shows amongst each other. And that's why I feel like we move backwards instead of forwards as people, because we can't get along with one another. We can't accept ourselves, and we can't accept people who look like us or share similar traits or phenotypically look like us. We have problems with ourselves, and we have problems with others that look like us or share certain traits like us. Or we want to distance ourselves from people that look like us for whatever those reasons. And then we have too many divisions between us, and we're not able to accept one another because we have so much divisiveness going on and not enough unity. It brings us further and further apart. And so that's the reason why there's so much fighting going on. I feel like it doesn't get any better until people learn how to love themselves and love who you are. You say diaspora, the African or Black diaspora, well, you have to realize that means that there's many people that come from different backgrounds and cultures that weren't in our control. They may come from another part of the globe, but that doesn't mean that we have to be divisive and mean towards one another. So that's basically what I'm saying. Black love is a lot more than just finding a mate and getting with somebody. It's also being able to love yourself and who you are, and accepting others as well for who they are. With that being said, I know this might have sound pretty, psychological, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But I just felt like it was much more than just what people will put it out there to be. I find that usually people who are serious about being in relationships with individuals, they've kind of matured mentally and emotionally. They're not out looking, to play games and be divisive and look for ways to be a womanizer or a manizer or whatever. And so there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of people have not matured. And so usually you don't find successful couples until people begin to get older and they mature, and they're not looking to play games and lay up and, how do you say, jump in one haystack, in one and out the other. But anyway, I guess I'm going to let that go. But it's something to think about. If we want to love like Black love, then we have to love ourselves. It starts within us. Thanks for listening.